Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to discuss about the performance of demand paging and also what are all the operations or what are all the techniques to be followed for process creation in virtual memory. So first, what is performance of demand paging? So demand paging, as I already told, whenever the page is needed by the CPU, only at that time if that particular page is not available in physical memory, and that page will be transferred from secondary memory to physical memory. So we need to do the swap operation. That is what demand paging. So here, what could be the effective access time for performing this demand paging? So what is actually access time? So if you are accessing any of the page, then what is the time taken to access that page? That is what effective access time, or even we can say the memory access. So here we are just mentioning about the page fault rate. So what is the page fault rate? Page fault means whenever the page is needed by the CPU, if that page is not available in physical memory, that is nothing but page fault. If the required page is not available in physical memory, that is nothing but page fault. And page fault rate, so in order to measure the page fault rate, so we are representing it with the probability terms. So here P is the probability of page fault occurrence, and P value should be in the range of 0 to 1. Right? 0 is less than or equal to P is less than or equal to 1. So its value should be in the range of 0 to 1. And if P value is 0 which means no page fault has occurred in the system. If P value is equal to 1 which means for every reference there is a page fault. So what is the meaning of it? So if you are referring each and every page, and for each and every reference that particular page is not available in physical memory, so it raises the page fault. So P value should not be equal to 1. If you get maximum page fault occurrence, then it will lower the degree of multiprogramming, otherwise it will lower the CPU performance. So this will not be an efficient performance by the system. So the P value should be very nearly, it should be very near to 0, and it should not be equal to 1. Okay. So here how to find out the access time? So 1 minus P into memory access, that is no page fault occur, plus P into if there is any page fault into page fault time. So what is the time taken to for page fault? So that is what the page fault time. So what is the time taken if the page fault occurs in your system? Suppose if you don't have any page fault, so the normal execution time, so like if say for example if it needs only 100 seconds or 100 nanoseconds to get any of the page, if there is no page fault, so it needs only 100 seconds. Suppose if there is any page fault, then again some extra time will be added, like 50 milliseconds or 50 nanoseconds will be added for the regular execution of the process, right? So this is actually the page fault time if there is any page fault occurs. So this is the way of calculating the effective access time. So next one, page fault service time. So what is the actual time taken if the page fault occurs? So how to calculate the time based upon these sequence of steps? So first, service the page fault interrupt, read in the page, restart the process. So we have come across many steps to be followed if the page fault occurs. But the three major components or three major steps to be followed if the page fault occurs in the system, these are all the three steps, and the corresponding time taken to execute these three steps, which is nothing but time taken if the page fault occurs in the system. So with this time we need to add the regular time for executing any of the process which does not need any page fault, right? So next one, process creation. So while creating the process, so how the process will be created in a normal memory management scheme, or else if you are implementing with the concept of virtual memory, how the process will be created. So that is what we are going to discuss. Okay. And also we are going to discuss about the difference between the virtual memory and the normal memory management scheme about this process creation. So whenever you're creating the process, so process creation is one of the major operation done on the process. So whenever you're creating the process, we can say the creating process or said to be child process. The creating process or said to be parent process, and whichever the process that is created, which is nothing but child process, right? So how the memory space will be given to the child process? Suppose if the parent process is having the memory space and whether that space will be duplicated for the child process, there are actually two options. So first option is the address space will be duplicated and the separate copy will be given to the child process. Otherwise, the address space will be shared by the child process. So this virtual memory concept will go to the second option. So it will share the address space among the two processes. One is parent and another one is child process. Now, if so though it is sharing the process, so what it will do, it will suspend any one of the process. So at a time only one process can able to use the shared memory space. So it will suspend the parent process while the child process is executing, or it will suspend the child process when the parent process is executing. So what happens, suppose if the child process is executing currently, so it will suspend the parent process, and whenever the child process is doing any of the modifications, and that modifications will be visible to the parent process when it resumes. This is what the parent and child relationship of the process in case of virtual memory concept. And this virtual memory will also use this particular system call whenever it is creating any of the process, which is nothing but vfork. So fork is the system call, so which is normally used by any of the process in a normal memory management scheme. But if you're going with a virtual memory concept, it will use this particular system call, that is vfork. V for virtual. So virtual fork system call will be used if the process is created, right? So if any child process is created, so it will use for that it will use this vfork system call. So what it will do, it will share the address space of the parent process with the child process. So no memory will be wasted. That could be an advantage of this vfork. And another one, whenever any modification done by the child process, so it will be visible to the parent process when it resumes its operation, right? So child process doing modification, which means if it is trying to change any of the variable values, whatever you have given in the process. So like that, though it is sharing the memory space, so if it is changing any of the values that is already stored, that is what the modification. And if it does any modification, that will be visible to the parent process immediately, so that it can able to understand the modification has been done, right? So next one, copy on write. This is a technique that should be followed for normal memory scheme. So copy on write means, so whenever the child process doing any modification, and copy of that particular page will be given to the parent process, right? So it will take one of the copy of the whichever the page that is modified by the child process, that copy of the page will be given to the parent process, right? But this technique will not be followed in case of virtual memory, because virtual memory is using this particular system call. So this system call works automatically whenever child process do any modification. So it will be visible accordingly to the other process, okay? Not only the child process, even parent process can do their modification, and that will be visible to the child process when it resumes. So next one, memory mapped files. So this memory mapped files, which means we also have another system called like read, open, close, and write. So all these system calls will be used in file manipulations. So in order to perform any file operations, all these system calls must be used. So read system call is used to read the content of the file. If you want to open it, you can use the system call. If you want to close, you can use. And if you want to write any new content, or if you want to modify any of the content that is already stored in the file, you can go with the system called write. So Instead of using all this system call, you can go with this technique called memory mapped files. This is available in virtual memory. So what is this technique? Memory mapped file, which is used to perform any IO operation. Directly we can have the connection by the CPU and to the main memory. So if you are using the system call, so we are just allowing the operating system to take care of all these responsibilities, right? So operating system will do according to the system call whatever we just provided. But instead of using this system call, if you want to directly connect with the memory, so if you want to access directly any of the files that is already stored in the memory, that is also possible in case of virtual memory with the help of this technique called memory mapped files. So if you have many number of processes and all those processes may wants to access the file that is a common file, and so directly we can access the main memory in order to retrieve that file, and we can do all the file manipulations with the help of this technique. No need of going and we are just using the system call. That is not needed in case of virtual memory, right? So process creation has been done with the help of the system call, and all the file manipulations can be done with the help of this technique called memory mapped files, right? So these are all the basic concept in virtual memory. So next video will be on the concept of page replacement, which is again a most important topic in operating system. Thank you.